Hello, I'm Laura Farris and I have a pocket watch addiction. Actually, that's not strictly true. What I do have is a pocket watch collection and a husband with an occasionally twisted sense of humour. Each pocket watch is different and each has its own story. So, rather than telling the same story over and over every time someone asks, I thought it might be a good idea to host a podcast where I can list them all, tell their stories, and save myself a lot of time and effort. Oh, and one more thing you should know about me. I am a hypnotist, a recreational hypnotist, which means I don't do therapy. I will not cure your fear of spiders or whatever. I'm strictly in it for fun. This is my watch list. So, where shall I start? Well, I suppose I should start at the beginning with the first pocket watch, but should is not a word I adhere to. Besides, there are currently some issues regarding that particular piece, which means that its story is not yet over. So, instead I shall begin with the 317. If you were looking at it right now, you would not be impressed. It's a heavy brass Art Deco piece I picked up at a jumble sale in Bath years ago. The glass is scratched, the casing is dull, and the hands were permanently stuck at 317. It doesn't tick. The mainspring inside isn't just broken, it's entirely rusted solid. By every definition, it is a dead watch. It has ceased to be. But for some indefinable reason, I had to have it. I managed to haggle the seller to let me have it for £12, which was probably £12 more than it was worth. However, it has subsequently become one of my favourite toys to use with skeptics. You see, most people believe that hypnosis requires a gleaming golden pendulum ticking in perfect hypnotic rhythm. Not so. Hypnosis is not about the watch itself. It's about the idea of the watch, what it represents. It's not the sound or the swing. And it has nothing to do with the gears or the metal. Hypnosis happens in the space between what your mind expects and what actually occurs. Which brings me to Arthur, not his real name. Arthur was a friend of a friend, a semi-retired accountant who was always impeccably dressed, only drank wine, and whose opinions were as rigid as a steel girder. You only had to look at him and you'd immediately think, accountant. When he found out about my little hobby, he offered me a condescending smile and declared that hypnosis only worked on the weak-minded and impressionable. Which, of course, you're not, I challenged.
My dear Laura,
he chuckled.
You couldn't hypnotize me if you paid me.
Oh dear, it was that my dear Laura. I couldn't let that pass. That sounds rather suspiciously like a challenge, I noted playfully.
Well, you're more than welcome to try,
he replied with a supercilious grin. Challenge accepted, I replied. I got up and went over to the bookcase, which is filled with an array of pocket watches. So much to choose from, but which? I very quickly decided that I needed to come at this rather obliquely. So I chose the 317. It was an instinctive choice, and I have learned to always trust my instincts. They're not always right, but they are invariably interesting. I returned to the couch and took a seat beside Arthur. Then I laid the chain across my fingers and let the watch dangle motionless in front of him. I began, if I were to hypnotise you, then I would ask you to consider this pocket watch. He looked at it and noted cynically,
I think you may have forgotten to wind it. It stopped.
Oh no, I replied calmly. It's not just stopped. It's completely broken. That surprised him.
Then why?
You see, the beauty of this watch is that because it no longer works, it doesn't care about time. Now I had his attention, and I had piqued his curiosity. Just think about that, Arthur, I continued softly. A watch that doesn't work, doesn't tick, doesn't move, no longer concerns itself with a constant rush of time. I was gently mirroring his own semi-retired situation, carefully guiding him. Just consider those frozen hands resting in place and listen to the silence of a watch that no longer has any real purpose. Do you know what happens when a mind as busy and structured as an accountant's tries to make sense of a broken watch? It gets tired, it gets confused, searching for a rhythm that simply isn't there. And just by holding it motionless, I was purposefully denying him any imposed rhythm to cling to. Within a few seconds, his breathing began to slow, and as I gently continued my slow, soothing considerations of the meaningless nature of time, his heavy eyes started to flutter, and not long thereafter, his mind melted into a soft, gentle trance. He was mine. I did not make him bark like a dog or cluck like a chicken, despite the fact that he probably deserved it. But as I said, I'm in this for fun, not humiliation. Instead, I gave him the suggestion that whenever he saw those hands stuck at 3:17, time would freeze and so would he. No movement, no thought, stuck, lost in time, until I snapped my fingers. When I brought him out, he blinked, straightened his jacket and shook his head.
Okay.
He conceded.
You nearly had me for a second there. But just a second.
I shrugged, feigning disappointment. Oh well, worth a try, I suppose. I handed him the watch. Here, I smiled. A memento. He looked down at it. His eyes fell upon the hands, 3:17, and he froze. I got up and stretched. Now I just needed something a bit dramatic, a bit obvious to make a point. I refilled my wine glass and retrieved a cigarette from my pack in the dresser drawer. Then I retook my seat next to poor frozen Arthur, lit up, and took the watch back. Then I snapped my fingers. He came back with a start.
What?
He looked at me, enjoying a gentle puff of my cigarette.
When did you?
I could see the glorious confusion in his eyes. He hadn't quite figured it out yet. Something wrong, Arthur? I inquired innocently. He gasped in astonishment. For a supposedly intelligent man, he wasn't that quick on the uptake.
He
spluttered. Perhaps this will help, I offered. I lifted the pocket watch, showing him the face again, and as soon as his eyes found the hands, he was gone. Enjoying my moment of triumph, I took a long, slow puff and exhaled right into his face. My dear Laura, indeed. Yes, I am a naughty girl. Sometimes. Then I got up and changed position so that I was now sitting on his other side. Snap! He came back and whirled, startled to find that I had somehow teleported from one side of the couch to the other. Daylight appeared in his eyes, and he sighed.
Oh,
he said, chagrined. Oh, indeed. I purred, taking a last languid puff of my cigarette. He became rather quiet after that. My husband rejoined us, having retrieved some documents from work, and they settled their business smoothly and efficiently. Then Arthur bid us both a hasty farewell and left. I returned my pocket watch to its stand, and noticing, Nick asked,
What did you do?
I grinned and replied, Nothing too dreadful. And the watch, it still sits proudly in place on the shelf. Its hands no longer on 3:17, my darling husband decided that he knew better than a professional watchmender and tried to fiddle with it. He moved the hands to 3:09, then gave up. I thumped him soundly for it, but it will always be the 3:17 to me. A fine, glowing example that time is only as real as your mind allows it to be. Next time, I'll tell you about the dainty gold watch that smells faintly of peppermint. Until then, just in case. 3, 2, 1, wide awake.